Hey everybody, I'm still working through the last 5 tests I took on Thursday, and this video is going to cover the history of the United States 2 CLEP. If we haven't met yet, I'm Justin with Free-Clep-Prep, and we've been helping people pass CLEPs and DSSTs for almost 2 decades now. We've got free study guides, flashcards, and full-length practice tests, all designed to help you pass. I take these tests myself to ensure I'm always giving you the most accurate study material. For example, this was the 3rd time I've taken this particular CLEP, and the material really hasn't changed that much over the years. This test picks up right where history of the US 1 left off. So you'll see questions from 1865 all the way to about 10 years ago, or when Obama was still president. I would expect new questions to be added as time goes by, but hopefully you'll be up to speed on current events and will have no problems with those. It's usually the questions about the past that trip people up, so let's talk about that. 1865 puts us right in the middle of Reconstruction. There is some overlap with topics and questions you'll see on US History 1, so I would read up on Lincoln and how he wanted to handle Reconstruction before he was assassinated. Know how that changed after Johnson took over, and who was pushing the various policies. You had the Southern Democrats who were trying everything they could to keep the newly freed slave from voting, working, or just generally being free. Read up on this and know what the black codes were, what redeemers were, and sharecropping. Then you had the radical Republicans who were pretty radical with how they wanted to punish the South. They were responsible for the Reconstruction Acts, which divided the South into military districts overseen by the U.S. Army. Know what the Freedmen Bureau was and what it did to help, and what promises to the newly freed slaves were broken. Know what carpetbaggers were. Know how the Compromise of 1877 ended Reconstruction and how it gave rise to the Jim Crow laws. Civil rights is usually a huge part of the test. I would know the early figures like Booker T. Washington and what he saw as the way forward for African Americans. Know who disagreed and why. Know about the Great Migration that affected the demographics of many northern cities. I have had versions test heavily on the later civil rights movements, so know about Selma and the March on Washington and know what the results were. Know the laws Congress passed to address civil rights and the Supreme Court cases like Brown versus Board of Education that battled segregation. We have an entire category covering this on Free-Clep-Prep, so just run through the chapters and read up on any topics that you don't know about. Women's rights got plenty of love on this recent exam. Know the people behind the various women's rights movements, what they wanted, and how they went about getting the word out for their causes. Read up on the ties between the suffrage and the temperance movements. Tariffs and economic policies also came up quite a bit. I would know all of the major tariffs from 1865 onwards, just all of them. Know which presidents were fans of them and which weren't. Speaking of presidents, I'd hit the big names like Roosevelt, both of them, Wilson, Hoover, Johnson, both of them, Carter, Nixon, Kennedy, Bush, Clinton, and Obama. You don't need to know everything about their presidencies, but you should know the major issues they faced or the policies that they championed. You should also know the titans of industry, especially during the Gilded Age. Folks like Carnegie, Rockefeller, Morgan, and Vanderbilt. Again, you don't need to go too deep, but I would understand the impact they had on certain industries, how they came into their fortunes, and what they did with all that money. Labor and immigration are both areas I'd spend time on. Know the early labor struggles, the major strikes such as the Pullman strike that helped shape labor movements. Know how the federal government looked at labor movements at first, and how people like Lewis Hine brought attention to child labor and unsanitary conditions in factories. Know the laws and agencies set up to protect and deal with food safety and labor disputes and how they work. Immigration played a huge part in much of the early labor issues. I would know the major immigration groups and where they settled. Some, like the 48ers, primarily settled in the Midwest. Others settled in ports of entry like New York City and carved out their own neighborhoods. Know the organizations that helped deal with the issues that many immigrations faced upon arriving. I had just watched Gangs of New York a few weeks before I took the test, and it actually helped me answer a few questions. If only all studying was that enjoyable. There were quite a few wars during the period this test covers. Now, as a general rule, CLEP doesn't go too deep into wars, like they don't go too deep into battles. Most of what you see will focus on how various wars influence things back home. Who worked all the jobs when the men were fighting overseas? What happened to ideas about gender roles when they came back? Understand what the bonus army was and how laws like the GI Bill were passed to make sure it didn't happen again. Know the impact various wars had on civil rights, such as the Japanese internment during World War II. Lastly, the number of questions about music, literature, film, and dance caught me by surprise. I would read up on the cultural movement starting from about 1920s onwards. I wouldn't go so far as to learn like the top hits of the 1920s, but you should know how the music and dance of the times were influenced and what impact authors like Jacob Riis had on public perception. There are plenty of topics I haven't discussed, mainly because I'm trying to keep this video short so you don't get bored. We've got everything we discussed here and more at Free-Clep-Prep. Come on over, use the free material, get you some college credits. It really is that easy. If you are in a hurry, we've got a quick prep bundle that can help you get ready in hours rather than weeks. It's got more practice tests, short summaries that you can read and listen to at the same time, personalized study guides that track where you need to focus. It's pretty great. That said, it contains the same knowledge as our free study guide, so if you have the time, use the free resources instead and save you some money. The Quick Prep bundle will be free for the first few days after this video is published. I normally do that so you can help me test things, so if you caught this video early enough, go get some free access. If not, no worries. Hit the subscribe and bell icon and you'll be notified when new videos and free bundles pop up. That's pretty much it for this one. I wish you all the best on all of your exams, and we're cheering for you. I'll see you again soon.